Hello, welcome back to Creative Matthew. So, what we're going to do in this one is just to do a quick kind of concept of an orc head. Probably a little bit more World of Warcraft, but maybe with other kind of things mixed in. Pretty much not trying to follow anything like that specifically, just trying to do my own thing. And so I have some references of some technically animals. So I'm going to try to see if I can fit a little bit of that into it. So let's start. Now this is just me going at it full hand. Normally you do thumbnails. In reality, when you're doing concept art, you're you're doing a bunch of different things. Usually, what most in the actual professional world type situation, you're doing a bunch of little thumbnails for yourself. You go through those thumbnails, you find the ones that you think work the best, follow suit with what they're looking for. And then you find the best 3 or 5 or whatever it is. Not too many. You're not trying to overwhelm them at the beginning. And then you present those to them, and they'll say, "Yeah, we like this idea," or "No, this is entirely the wrong direction. Let's change this." Stuff like that. So that's usually how that goes. It's kind of what they're looking for. What do they want in this? I mean, if you're doing a game that's particularly Lord of the Rings, I mean, you can't follow the movies based on it because they don't have the rights to that. Unless it's the movie game, like if it's what is his name? The guy who made the movie, or not made the movie, produced it. The writer J.R.R. Tolkien, he has what he described and that sort of thing. But that's something that's up for interpretation to each individual, kind of how they see the different characters. In a movie, they kind of create their own version of it, and the movie has the rights to their movie version of it. And so, unless that person who's in charge of the movie is making a game for it, or contracted a company to make a game for it, if you're making a game for that, then yes, you have to pretty much follow what the movie already has. You pretty much have the designs. You might just change them up to be more anime, if that's what they want, or you might change based on what they're looking for. If, however, you're doing something that's completely, like, it's still, let's say in this case, it's not even a Lord of the Rings, it's just a general, okay, this is going to be a game where you're going to have orc type characters, but we don't want to follow the movie. We don't really want to follow we can take the interpretation that we have of the book, but in this case, we're doing something a little bit different than even that. And so you want to take that and make sure you're not following too much of don't let the influence of the movie be too much on your artwork when you're doing something like that, because it can start looking more like fan art, and that's not a concept piece. A concept piece is an actual new design. I mean, no design is truly new. Orcs have been done, but the aspect of how you do it can be new. Meaning, like, trying to mix this different type of look to that orc. Maybe making it look almost animal-like. So there's different things you can do. Right now the face is the main thing. So I got the rough drawing. Probably want to clean up a little bit more than that, but this is just to give you an example. And I mean, this can count as a thumbnail for yourself. This quick little thing, and you're like, okay, I kind of like that. And what you can do is you can shrink it down, move it over, and you can do another one. But I'm already liking the way this is, which is not usually the case. Usually you go through several different designs before you get to one that you actually like. And what this is based upon a certain type of scorpion that has all these little, I don't know what you call those things. Little spikes. Yeah, just spikes. But they're usually around the front arms and, well, this type is. I'm not sure what type of scorpion. I'm not even sure that is a scorpion. It looks like a scorpion, but it also looks really different than some other scorpions I've ever seen. It's a unique little look. Let's do this first. I think this thing could be on the outside of it. Anyway, so how's everybody doing? I will possibly do just a quick paint job on this thing in this video. Up. Not sure if I'm a big fan of the spikes, but it's worth a shot. I know, would orcs have eyebrows? It looks a little dumb without something like that, but I know eyebrows almost makes it look, I don't know, we just do this for eyebrows. Make it really rough. Never finished the other ear. Yeah, I don't like these. Get rid of these. And this, maybe leave a few of these, but not like this. This is where thumbnailing comes into play, where you do that and you're like, okay, I like that, or I don't like that, and then you do that. And then when you have the top designs that you like, that you think the person who you're actually doing this for will like. Then you present. Then you take those designs. If it's still the early, like, hey, we're just trying to get some general ideas, you don't do too much work on them because they don't want you to spend all that time. I think I like it bald because they're paying you, especially if you're freelance, they're paying you for your time. They're not paying you a salary. It's however long it takes. So they want it. They don't want you wasting a bunch of time on really fancy designs that you may not even end up using. So you like spend hours and hours on 20 designs and you end up only showing them 3. If you do a bunch of quick thumbnails that take you like 5 minutes each just to get some ideas out, and you keep doing that so that you may spend an hour on thumbnails, and then you then decide, okay, I like these 3 or these 5, and you fancy those up. That's a lot more, what's the term, better use of your time, better management of your time than doing other thing. Should I leave the ears offset? Because they are, like, if you look at perspective, the ears are not in perspective, even the eyes aren't. But, I don't know, for an orc, that could be an advantage. I don't know. Not sure if I like that or not. What I found to do is it's actually, I think, quicker just to go through and make sure your lines all connect. And then just do it, select on the outside of things. Rather than trying to paint it all in. It takes me a lot less time just to make sure my lines are connecting than just trying to paint the whole thing in. Because if it's all connecting, so there's one spot here it's not, down here. Oh yeah, right there. Well, you'll see. So, looks like all lines connecting. Do reverse. And I just fill in this case I'm going to do a base and then I'll paint over it. With the Warcraft 3, it's a greenish. Should we try a different color? And I can always change the color later. That's the nice part about digital is you can change the color on the fly. I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's see. In this case, I'm going to paint all in the same layer. I'm not going to do a bunch of layers. For something that's just quick and simple, there's no point in doing a bunch of extra layers. And now we paint it in. I'm using just a soft brush. And now we do value. Value meaning light and dark. I'm using, the main thing is going to be green. I might add slight variation to that green. Like maybe make some a little bit more yellowish green. See, let's make the, I'm not even sure if those are supposed to be teeth or not. They might make them something completely different. Do this and this. Oops. Do that part a little quicker. And then since I didn't actually erase those lines, just do this. The point of thumbnails is because like you're trying to sell a design to them. Hey, you might want to make it look more bluish or greenish, or you might want to, I mean, you're just trying to give them as many good ideas. Like if you don't like the idea that you're going for, it's probably not going to be very good for them either. It might be, but for the most part, probably not. So that's where the thumbnailing comes in. You do a bunch of thumbnails to get the idea of, okay, I like this direction and this isn't working, or this isn't working. Okay, this is working. Sometimes a lot of the thumbnails don't work. You go through a thumbnail after thumbnail after thumbnail and it just is not working. Other times you get it pretty quickly. Inside of the mouth, let's do this. You can know I'm not trying to be very clean with this. This is just a quick concept. I am going to give it some depth and stuff, but this isn't meant to be a finished piece. This is meant to be a rough idea, just enough. I mean, you want it presentable. You don't want the person looking at it like, okay, I don't know what I'm looking at. They should be able to tell, oh, it's an orc. And it should have some presentation to it. You should be able to tell that you're a professional with it. I know this is very beginning. It's not. It's still very rough. But you don't want to take 10 years on it. So you give, with their first initial design, they just want they want to see what direction they're going to go, and they want you to give some ideas. When they approve it, like, hey, they like that kind of animal-based scorpion. I'm not going to say what the other thing is, though you probably might be able to tell what kind of animal it is. They may be like, we like that, or they may like, nope, let's not go this direction. Go back to more generic, kind of a little bit generic, but something I've never seen before, which apparently is something they tell you. Meaning they want something that people are familiar with, kind of like this dragon, like you see on TV and movies. There's certain aspects that are all the same. They may look different in certain aspects, but yet there's always things that are the same, because that's just cool. That's been the standard kind of what makes a cool dragon, what looks cool on the dragon. You can take like a horse, and you can take a horse, maybe change this and that, but ultimately keep it looking like a horse, but with wings and breathing fire. And you have something different, but it may not sell, and in reality I don't know if it would. I mean, if you made the horse black and you had red eyes and you were doing things like that, you might be able to sell it as a dragon, and maybe give it a little bit of scales or something to give it a little bit more of that standard look, but yet keep it very horse-like, and you might be able to sell it. For the most part, there's usually the standard. Now, am I trying to keep track where the light's coming from? Honestly, right now, no. I'm just trying to do something that's going to give it. That's too bright. Hard to get it to go bright without. This is the nice about digital, is you can just keep painting dark, light, light, dark, and you don't have to wait for it to dry. With traditional, like, stop saying light, with oil and acrylic, you can still paint light over dark and dark over light, but you still have to wait for it to dry. You can see it still needs the line work, and for something like just rough and quick, keep the line work. This is just to give a general idea. Then again, if you really want to fancy it up, you can keep painting until you get all the values in there, meaning light and dark. There's more than just light dark, it's variations of the lights and the variation of darks that make up something to actually look as if it's three-dimensional, because in reality we don't have little lines around us. which is also why we can actually blend in, kind of hide their background if we can blur out the different contrast of the colors and of their values against whatever we're standing up against. Right, animals have the different spots and stripes and other things like that to try to blend into their environment, so you don't see an obvious, which you don't see the animal really, because it blends into them well. Let's work on the outfit. We could do opposite. We could do complementary color, which is red and green, or so. Complementary colors are on the opposite side of the color wheel. But if you forget, one easy thing you can do is just remember that complementary colors, the two of them will end up having all the primary colors: red, blue, and yellow. So red and green are complementary. Red is red, but green has blue and yellow in it, and therefore you have the three complementary colors. Purple has red and blue, so the complementary is going to be yellow. So that's nice. That's a nice little trick you can do to try to remember complementary colors, and that has to do with color theory and other things like that. I don't mind the color getting a little bit on the neck, because in reality a little bit of that color would probably reflect off of the skin, especially if it's kind of almost scaly, or depends on what type of skin you want to do. I don't think it'd take too much to try to get this thing, because I kind of want to do some photo texture on it just to show you how to do that. If I'm going to do that, I guess I can do that. I can try that with the drawing still intact. So open. Problem is, to do that I need to get some photo texture, and I don't necessarily want to just show photos of either my face or other people's faces in this. So what I might just do is go copy them off camera, whatever you want to call it. It's not really camera, off video, whatever. And then we'll be back. That does mean I'm going to have to combine this together. Hello, back again. So I added some skin texture. It's just photos again. Let's do normal. Just human skin. In this case, I just kind of blotched it together. Normally you do this carefully. You take a photo of like the cheek of a person, usually yourself, unless you got permission for somebody else, and then you would take that photo of the cheek, put it on the cheek, blend it in, take a photo of the nose. Though in this case the nose is so big and you don't have that in human noses, that I'm not sure. I guess you just have to do what I did, which was I just took a clone tool, took the skin from here and cloned it into here. Clone tool is pretty much just a brush that will copy whatever, like you have it over this part. So let's make this thing big. You can see those little lines on the brush, around the brush. If I do control and I click, it's now copied that area. So when I move it, it's pasting that on here, in essence, and I'm brushing with it. And so you do that and other things like that. In this case, you normally wouldn't do it inside the mouth, but I actually found I liked it better with it inside the mouth. Now if I do grain merge, because it's the merge is still adding the color of that layer, so it's not just the texture. Overlay will do the same thing and add some color to it. In that case, that's not too bad. I don't know what I like better, but let's finish the painting first. Let's paint in the pupils. When I'm doing watercolor and I'm doing the eyes and stuff like that, you gotta be careful because you can pick up the paint again. I actually don't have some of that texture over here. let's shrink this thing down. This opposite and delete. Let's now get some, take those eyes and let's paint in some actual shadow into them. The eyes can really help a character read, not just read in the sense of, okay, it's a humanoid or this type of thing. I'm talking about give it actual personality where you actually feel something for this character, like you feel almost alive, which those people don't really do that. They're just black. But I can fix that and change things. Nice part about digital is you can have fun and experiment. Or in like watercolor, you gotta kind of know what you want to do ahead of time. Let's not make the pupils pure black. Artists will oftentimes say that pure black kills color, and that actually kind of showed you how that is. We don't have anything that's truly pure black unless it's a really strong shadow, and even then. I'm trying to, I don't want it quite like that, but let's see if I can, pupils are still pretty darn dark, so you don't want to do too much to it. Let's do blue, and let's lighten it so it's add some white to the corners, not pure white. Let's bring this back up, the value. And this isn't trying to be super realistic, and in reality you probably wouldn't even use the photo texture for a quick concept in all reality. But I kind of like how it gives it a little bit different feel, stuff like that. And in reality this is still way too rough to present, or not way too rough, but it's still pretty rough. You'd still want to, I don't know, probably go at it without the line work and just keep painting it. So what you're doing is just adding more value here and there, darks, lights, until the thing starts reading more three-dimensional. Like right now it's still pretty flat. It's pretty much flat, like you can't really tell any real dimension with it. For just a quick concept, this works. But if you wanted to, you'd go in and you'd add shadow here, make this thing a little darker, and gradually get it lighter. And if this thing's sticking out more, and the sun or the light's hitting it directly, this part's going to be nice and bright. You're going to want to darken the outsides a little bit more, lighten this side even more, and lighten, darken, lighten, darken. This needs to be distinguished and stuff like that, but this is just a quick, like, hey, here's how you can get started on this. Anyway, let's see. So this one's 6 minutes. I don't remember how long the other one was, but I'm probably going to end it here. This is just a quick kind of idea of how you can do things. And let's talk about a little bit the texture. So right now I have the texture with the color adding to it. You can, let's do a new layer. Let's take off this one. We'll take this one and we'll make this one black and white, because that won't add any color, it'll only add value. So whatever color you were painting in, it'll only add that. Advanced overlay, grain merge. It's almost too much for that, but still. And so all I did was just copy the skin. Let's turn this thing to normal. It's just a photo of skin from my person's face. You take it, you're gonna probably use your own. Other people will be like, "You're doing what with what?" But just take the skin texture. Usually turn it to black and white unless you want to add some of that color into it. But otherwise, you turn it black and white. You can even take that and emphasize the darks and lights by doing contrast and other things with the little settings. Curves, which you can change just how light or dark, or just saturation, bright contrast, those type of things to try to kind of, I guess, give more depth to it. You can also overdo it pretty easily, especially with skin, or human skin or something. I mean, if you wanted to look leathery, you might even be able to use a photo of a piece of leather. It's something you can experiment with. But anyway, we'll end this thing here and hope you learned a thing or two. And if you like this, subscribe. The key is for me to get hired by a company. Like right now, it's not an easy field to be in, but hey, you want more of this? Let me know by subscribing, telling your friends, and getting them to and helping them subscribe and all that stuff. So adios, año queseo, which is supposed to be stay in peace, and all the other stuff. Bye bye.